Well, hey, welcome to A Valid Answer with Scott and Marshall. We're here for another Sunday. We're here Sundays at 5, Mondays at 4, and we're just excited to be here talking about, pastor and an atheist talking about, well, all the things that affect us in life and all the things that are worthy to be argued about, which is just about everything when it comes to the human condition. Am I right?
Yep. Scott and I are champions at disagreement. We can disagree about anything.
Just about. I mean, there's a few things that we have agreed upon. Actually, the purpose of this podcast is something that we can absolutely agree upon. Oddly enough, but most of the stuff, if we find agreement, we find a way to disagree about being in agreement.
Right?
Yeah, we agree on this, but we disagree on how it's done, kind of thing. But so in case
that happens too.
That happens a lot. But we're really glad that you guys here are joining us this Sunday. And I just came as I normally do from Sunday. I just came from church a few hours ago. Being at church, that's kind of what Sunday's a work day for me. As I work at a church, I thought it was funny. We went somewhere one time years ago, like on Easter, and like to a store that was open. I go, oh man, they have to work on Easter. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute,
so do you.
I work on Easter.
You work on Easter, right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, I think you should get a vacation, Scott.
You know what? The funny thing is I am going on vacation. I am actually going on vacation tomorrow. So we will not have our Monday show. We'll have a repeat from another Monday show. But I do get vacation is one of the benefits of paid vacation is one of the benefits of here where I work.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of Americans don't get paid vacations.
It's a good benefit to work for. Mm-hmm. It's a good benefit to bargain for and make yourself valuable. And
I don't think it should be a benefit at all. There are certain things that we need to take away from the employer.
Well, you think that everybody should be given everything for free. So you're foolish.
These things have a cost to them and they're paid for.
Right, but they should be given to the person for free. They shouldn't have to pay for them. So
well, I think people deserve certain things. It's just part of being a human being. People deserve, for example,
because human beings shouldn't be responsible for anything of their life. It should all be provided for them.
No, I'm saying that there are certain basic things that people should have because that's what it is to be in a decent, civilized, modern, industrialized society. Here we are toiling away, producing all of these wonderful things, but yet you, the worker who's producing all of the things, apparently you can't have them because of, some bargaining or some law or what have you. Yet people who earn the lowest amount of wages, people who work the hardest also often get the least compensation and have the fewest benefits, which is frankly ridiculous.
Physical labor is the most basic type of pay. The smarter you are, the more educated you are, the more valuable you are, the more that you can accomplish, not necessarily do with your physical labor, the more that you can accomplish, the more valuable you are. If all you can do is physical labor because you are unskilled, then you get the unskilled wages because you have not bettered yourself.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Is your value determined by your productivity?
Not your personal value. No, your personal value is determined by...
End of case.
No, your personal value is determined by the sacrifice that Jesus Christ made on the cross for you. So everybody has the same equal value of salvation. It's the same equal value. Mm-hmm. It's not based on what you work or how much you make. The same equal value is based on the sacrifice that Christ made for you.
Okay, so even though apparently your justification is different, you agree with me that all people have the same universal value.
Yes, everybody has the same universal value, and everybody has the same universal responsibility, self-responsibility.
Okay, so if everybody has the same universal value, then what does that mean? What is a human being entitled to?
That entitled to nothing, but they should have equal access to everything.
Okay, so equal access to everything, we agree on that, but you're entitled to nothing.
Yeah, you're not entitled for anything to be done for you.
Are you entitled to food?
No.
Are you entitled to water?
No.
Air?
No.
Not entitled to any of these basic things that you need to survive.
You're not entitled to provided those things. You have to provide for yourself. That's a responsibility of every human being. That's a responsibility of every animal on earth. That is nature. Nature is you have to fight for yourself. You have to provide for yourself.
But
That's
somehow you want to legislate that babies have to be born, but then once they're born, there's no legal protections. In it's just you're on your own in a state of nature. Is that
actually
how you want to do it?
Nature legislates that babies should be born.
Okay.
So
well, actually not.
Yeah, no.
Half of all pregnancies, in fact, probably a wide majority. We really have no data, but we do know that most pregnancies do not carry to term. Most are simply aborted within the body without the woman even knowing she was really pregnant.
Okay, well, when the baby is growing inside the woman's body, the natural course of that is for the child to be born. It takes an unnatural interruption by a human being to stop that. So it's not natural. So it's nature that says the baby should be born, not me saying
abortion should be outlawed because it's unnatural.
Not me saying that there should be a law that says that the baby should forcibly be born. Nature is going to make it be born. So it's a natural living life.
But boom, the baby's out, and you no longer care then about, hey, that's a natural living life. That life has to fend for itself.
Yeah, the parents have to take care of that.
Okay, so everybody has to fend for themselves. So when we live in a world where people can...
Because you're responsible for creating the baby, so you're responsible for taking care of it until it becomes an adult to where I am no longer responsible for my son.
No argument. Okay, so what happens then is if you have certain few people who are able to hoard the wealth of the planet and accrue that for themselves, and they're able to use that wealth in such a way and to hoard that wealth in such a way that they scandalously deprive others of things like clean food, clean water, clean air, the basics that people need to survive, that's okay?
What it is that our nature, our planet is I think that we have overpopulated our planet.
Really?
Yeah.
Based on what?
I think there's resources that are available, and we are overpopulating and overusing the resources. Not that I feel that that's within our power to. It's not within our authority to change that. I'm not saying that we should have a Thanos snap and let's reduce half the population and then everything will be hunky dory. But you have access to resources. Yeah. You can move to places that has easy access to resources. You can be someplace that you can live next to a stream and get pure water coming right off the mountain if you want. But you choose to live in a city that's away from the streams. You choose to live in a place where it's inconvenient to get something to where you have to pay someone to get it, and then you complain about having to pay somebody to get it when it's your choice to live in a place where it's not convenient for you individually. You think of the people and the pioneers who came across the wilderness, and even Native Americans who lived near a stream. Then they hunted for their food, and they lived a natural life. And then we come and say we want to make cities that are not near a river. We want to make cities that are over here, and we will pay somebody. We want to make a city in the middle of the desert. Somebody said, let's stop worrying. Let's call this place Las Vegas. It's in the middle of the desert. There's nothing here, but we want to live here, and we're going to make water come to this place. We're going to build these things to unnaturally make resources come to us. And then the next generation of people say, why should I have to pay for that resource? I want to live in this town that has no natural resources, and I want the resources to be given to me for free. That's lame. That's not nature. That's you saying, I want to live where I want to live, and I want somebody else to provide for me the things that are need living. It's because I choose to live in this place that doesn't have natural resources. So you can live in a place where there's natural resources, or you can choose to pay somebody to provide those resources for you.
What if moving to a place with those resources is simply not permitted because of environmental protections, let's say?
Yeah, by the government. Great.
Okay.
So the government is preventing it from happening. Good point.
Okay,
That's too big of a government. Yeah.
Okay. And what if the deprivation, the lack of resources, what if scarcity is artificial? Have you ever considered that most of the scarcity we encounter on the planet is actually artificial?
Yeah, it probably could be.
Okay, because the planet clearly provides more than enough food to feed all people on the planet. But it's how it's distributed determines who starves and who does not. And so what happens is we find that the world's material wealth is certainly planet Earth. Just a little scientific fact, there's a thing called carrying capacity, and it's believed that the carrying capacity of planet Earth is at least, and this is the low estimate, about 12 billion souls. Right now, we're somewhere between 8 and 7 billion souls. We can easily add another 4 or 5 billion human beings to the planet and still sustain all people with the natural resources that are currently present on the planet today. We can grow food.
But again, there's been
clean water.
There's been
and
so many
space.
people. There's been so many people who said we want to gather in these areas and we need provision. So somebody has gotten the natural resources and has redirected them to where people want. Well, if you want natural resources redirected to where you want to live, then you need to pay for that.
Okay, and that's fine.
Pay for that. That's
And I'm not saying
that's water. That's food. Yes, you have to pay for it. It should not be provided. If you want to live where you choose to live, where natural resources have to be brought to you, then you should be paying for that delivery. It should not be given to you for free.
Should those resources be taken from the people who already live there? For example, water. Should water be pumped out and sent to a factory where it can be put into bottles?
If somebody else is paying for it. Yeah.
So you're okay with, depriving a community of its natural water resource so that a capitalist can bottle it and sell it elsewhere. Are you okay with that?
I kind of am.
Now, why? Because you told people go live where the resources are. So the people who are living where the resources
and those people
are
can
are being
buy that
robbed
water
of
and those people can buy that water just like everybody else.
But why do they have to buy it? They live on it.
Because somebody else is delivering that.
No, they live where the water is.
No, their house. Then drill a hole in your ground and pump water yourself.
So you're okay with people just drilling wells wherever they are in their backyard? It's totally cool.
I have no problem with that. If it's your property, you own it. Drill a freaking well and get your own water.
Man,
put some rainwater catches on your house and store your own water. That's providing for yourself. But it's convenient to not have to do that and just pay for the water to be pumped to your house.
So if everybody starts storing all their water in rain barrels on top of their roofs, then the malaria and the mosquito outbreaks and all the other things, we're cool with that?
No. Take care of it.
But how? How? You've got standing water when it's not raining.
Okay, well then you take care of it.
So
be responsible. You want everybody else to be responsible for you. You're like, well, then there's going to be malaria and there's this and that. You can't be responsible for your own stuff. So I have to step in as the government and be responsible for you. So let people be responsible.
Who handles
and let people, if they want to, hey, I don't have to worry about drilling in my house when whatever to get water. I don't want to have to worry about digging a hole every so many months to cover the outhouse and whatever. I'll pay to live where I want and pay for sewage to be taken, pay for water to be pumped to my house. I'll pay for that. That's my choice.
Pay for that?
Yes,
That's
I pay
wonderful,
for that.
Though. Thank you.
Yeah.
The problem, of course, is societies form and people congregate together, and we live in cities, and that creates all kinds of engineering problems.
Right.
And the bottom line is there's no human being who can do all of these things for themselves. And yes, things have to be paid for, but then you end up with some people who can pay for anything and everything, and they tend to use their wealth to accumulate and hoard resources for themselves, which then means other people end up being deprived.
Right. Josh says this here, catching rainwater is prohibited by many municipalities. That's right. Make the government smaller and start reducing that's only there so that you can't do yourself. That's government stepping in and preventing you from being responsible for yourself. We need smaller government and less of that type of prohibition to say, no, you can't collect your own rainwater. You can't have your own well. You can't do this own thing. If it's your property, you should be able to collect the rainwater. You should be able to drill your own well. You should be able to do what you want if you want to, or pay for the services that are being provided there.
Okay,
but it's your choice. It should be your choice.
There are limits on that freedom, such as tapping into the electrical grid and electrocuting yourself, or starting a fire, or spreading malaria, or
pay the proper person to come in and do it, or learn how to do it yourself. Become an engineer, become an electrician, whatever, or pay for that. Pay for someone to come in. What is wrong with paying for somebody's expertise? What is wrong for paying for somebody's expertise?
Things have to be done according to a certain standard.
And that's fine. You pay the person to do it to that certain standard. What's wrong with paying for people's expertise?
Okay, but you have, again, communities have to be planned and organized. They can't just be thrown up like they were in the medieval era, and you get triangular-shaped blocks and streets that are too narrow for cars to drive down and all this other craziness. There has to be some order out of the chaos.
And it has to be
paid for. And you get
for.
that as a result of government. And this is why people form societies and they elect or choose governments to govern those societies and to set the rules by which we all have to live.
What's wrong with
and
paying
we do
for
pay.
it?
We do pay, and we pay, and it's called taxes, and we pay for it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Then what's the argument?
Okay, well,
resources are being funneled to where people are choosing to live, and you're making the argument that people should not have to pay for that service to be done for them.
I'm not saying that at all.
You're saying it should be provided. You're saying if it's basic needs, it should be provided.
I'm saying there are certain things that people should have available to them. It should be given to them if they need it for survival.
They should have to pay for it. Just like nature, just like it is what it is. We have to pay. We have to live in such a way that we are responsible for ourselves. The more responsibility we shed off to our government and to other people, the less human beings we are. If we're not responsible for ourselves, we're just a robot. We're just nothing.
No, my DNA doesn't change, and I don't turn to metal and operate on electricity. I'm still a human being.
You're less of a human being. If you're not willing to take responsibility for yourself, you're less of a human being.
No, you're not less of a human being. You may be lazy.
You're less of a human being because you're lazy.
No. You're never, it is impossible to become less of a human being. Your DNA is what makes you human. You're always going to be a DNA. And when you start denying the essential humanity of a person, then you make all sorts of terrible things possible.
Like abortion. Thank you for joining pro-life.
Because you make all sorts of horrible things possible.
Yeah.
The destruction of human life.
When you make someone less of a human being.
You're dehumanizing people.
Yep.
So don't dehumanize people in your rhetoric. That's what I would argue. Because when you do that,
do I need to pull this down? There's a mirror right here. Do you want to talk to the mirror?
Who am I dehumanizing?
Abortions.
No, those are human beings too.
Those are human beings, and
it's human DNA, right? That's the standard. Okay, so that's human too. But regardless, when you start to dehumanize people, saying that because you don't work, you are less than a human being. I would say if you don't work and you're choosing not to work, either one, there is a legitimate problem, a physical or mental problem that we as a society have a keen interest in trying to solve. We need to get to the bottom of that. Or you are simply lazy. Now, if you refuse to participate with a program to solve your health or psychological issues, whatever it may be, or if you simply refuse to work and you're recalcitrant, you're going to sit on your butt. I don't have a lot of compassion for those individuals, but I also believe that the number of individuals in that category are actually very tiny. It's a tiny number of human beings. Most people do not want to live homeless. Most people want to contribute. Most people want nice things. And most people want to advance themselves and their family. And they want their children to have nice things, better things than what they had for themselves. And given that, we can structure our society in such a way that we should make opportunities available to all people to climb that pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs to get to the top. So
to correct my hyperbole, no, you're not less of a human being.
Right. Okay.
You're just... You don't deserve to be helped. That the idea of being a human being means you are responsible for yourself. You don't deserve to be kept alive by anybody else. You are responsible to keep yourself alive. You are that's what it means to be. That's what it means to be alive. In any form of the term, what it means to be alive is you are responsible for yourself. Otherwise, you are a drain on someone else.
Until a determination has been made that you are a recalcitrant layabout, that you absolutely flat out refuse to work and there's nothing wrong with you. But until that designation has been made, then I think people should be given the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think people should be arbitrarily starved or deprived of the basics of life.
No one is being starved or deprived. I'm not going to let you use those words. They're not being starved and they're not being deprived. Nobody is withholding anything from them. If they choose not to go get it themselves, that is not the same as somebody withholding it from you. You are withholding it from yourself. That is not the same as somebody withholding it from you. If you refuse to fend for yourself, that is not the same as somebody withholding something from you.
I don't think a lot of the unemployed are refusing to fend for themselves. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they would happily, even the homeless people, go from place to place to get what they need to survive. So I don't think there's really anybody out there who is so lazy that they will literally starve to death on their sofa.
And Josh says, what if it is just pragmatic to raise the floor of the community? And that's the argument you're trying to make. But pragmatism of itself is never the right, is not always the right thing to do. Because pragmatism is the ends justify the means. Pragmatism is literally, well, whatever it takes, let's do this, even if it hurts others, even if it does
Who does it hurt?
What's that?
Who does it hurt?
Who does it hurt? It hurts the people it hurts the people who have to provide for others, who are not providing for themselves. It hurts those people.
Who does it hurt to guarantee a basic living wage?
Somebody has to provide it.
Okay, that's the employer, the person who's making all the money off their labor. As Wall Street again turns record profits. You're right. It's hurting Wall Street, and you know what?
As the middle class is rising too, and as every minority group is rising too, it's all going up right now. It is. Is it not? Are you about to deny the reality of what's happening, or you can minimize it? You can say, well, it's not enough.
It's certainly not enough,
right? But you cannot say it's not rising. Then you're
correct, but also there's inflation. But the fact that it's rising by a tiny amount doesn't necessarily mean it's rising enough, and it's certainly not.
But it is rising, so you can't say it's not rising.
Okay, but then when you compare the level of rise for the people at the bottom, the people in the middle class, for minorities, and you compare what Wall Street's doing, there's simply no comparison. They're outstripping everybody. Okay, that's an injustice. So I have no issue with taxing those people and ensuring that they have to pay living wages to their workers. Because if they don't pay living wages, guess who has to make up the difference? You and I do.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
We shouldn't have to.
We shouldn't have to.
So because those systems exist, that's what allows them to get away with it. Those systems didn't exist. The people themselves would not work for those wages.
But I don't think the solution is to throw away the entire system, but rather to reform the system. Otherwise, you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
As long as the safety net in the system is there to catch people, the corporations will use it. They will rely on it.
No, they won't. They won't if you don't allow them to do so. If you forbid it, then they won't do it anymore. They do it because they're allowed to take advantage.
They do it because it's available.
They don't
make it unavailable.
They do it because we're splitting hairs here. They do it because they're able to get away with it. And if we prevent them from getting away with it, if we close that option off to them, we say every single employee is required to be paid a living wage, and a living wage will be that which disqualifies a person from qualifying for the safety net.
You have to do them both.
Yes, you do. That's essential.
Okay, you cannot just do the one. You have to do them both.
You have to do the both. I agree. That's absolutely essential. The safety net is not there so that corporations and other wealthy entities can underpay their workers. The safety net is there for people who genuinely need it. People who are simply falling a run of bad luck. They have a spell of bad health or whatever it may be. They don't have employment. We don't want them to starve. We want them to return to the workforce. We also want them to maintain their household. We want them to maintain their family, keep their kids in school. We want the benefits of the safety net, and we don't want corporate America in particular to pat its bottom line on the back of the taxpayer.
Right. So we need to. So that's not the issue. The issue those two things help each other to exist. remove them both, and we're still left with the idea that people should be responsible for themselves. Those two things, the corporate thing is offset by the welfare things. I don't consider either of those part of the discussion that we're having right now in the connection of should people be responsible for themselves. Yes, people should be responsible for themselves. That's and when you can't, when you've made bad decisions, when you do things that mess up your life, when you end up in these spaces, that is where those of us who have more to give should reach out to you and help you. That's charity. And it's important to have charity for the C
word.
Yeah, it's important to have charity for two reasons. If it wasn't charity, if it was the government will provide this floor, then it becomes then
the charity becomes unnecessary.
Right, but then what happens is that you have people who believe that they deserve it, that it's owed to them
because they're humans.
No, no. You have to get it for yourself. You have to be responsible for yourself. With the idea that somebody else will be responsible to keep you alive and to feed you and to house you, that doesn't make you a better person. You don't learn. Well, you don't want better people. You just want slaves to the system. I understand that.
No.
You don't actually want better people.
I want free people.
Yeah, but free people, that's not, no. You want people to be free under what you want to give them. That's not freedom. That's slavery. You want to say, I will give you this. I will grant you this. I, the great socialist government person who believes that I'm smarter than everybody else, I believe you deserve this, and I'm going to grant you that. It's my choice of what you think, what I think you should have.
Once people have their basic needs met, then they could be truly free to branch out and do the things that are meaningful to them.
But they don't become better people. They don't become better people when they don't.
Why would
Struggle
they?
makes you better.
But why?
Struggle
How?
makes you better. When you have
And
to
what's
fight
to
through
say
trouble.
that people aren't going to struggle to gain the next level, to move up, to keep moving up?
Because they don't have to. You're providing for them. That is human nature. When they don't have to, they don't. Humans
would
don't do
you
that.
like
You
to
have
live-
to struggle. You have to struggle to get better. That's nature. That's what it is. I can't get muscles unless I break them first. I have to struggle through there to become better. I have to learn to make mistakes in order to make things better for myself. If I'm not given the opportunity to make mistakes, if I'm not given the opportunity to fail and fall on my face, I don't learn. And I don't become better.
You're right.
You're going to have a society.
have the opportunity to fail and fall on your face.
Yes.
But it shouldn't cost your life or your survival.
No, but it should cost
People
you.
don't take risks when there's no safety net. But if there's a safety net, they'll be more willing to take risks and learn new things.
No. Oh my gosh. No.
Can you imagine the
They don't
outpouring
learn
of
anything.
innovation that would take place in this nation if there was a guaranteed
What do
safety net
you
for all
learn?
people?
What do you learn without struggle? How do you become a better person?
learn a lot of things.
How do you become a better person without struggle?
You learn a lot of things. You know why? Take
how
a
do
look
you
at.
learn? How
Take a look at.
do you learn? How do you learn
just
anything
take a
without
look at
struggle?
Primary education.
Right, that's a struggle.
The kids who do the worst are the ones who are struggling in their personal home lives. And so by removing that struggle, they're able to concentrate on their studies and do better. And so I want to remove those struggles so that nobody has to worry about, gee, what am I going to eat tonight? I would rather they worry about, man, I've got to study for that exam, rather than what's for dinner. Is there dinner tonight? Are we going to eat something?
That's why that's the parent who is falling and is expecting people to help them up. You don't learn humility.
But
you don't become a better person.
Not everybody has the parents. Not everybody has these things available to them. Not everybody has a church community.
That's why there are programs like Reach for Greatness. That's why there are programs like Stay Focused Ministries. That's why there are programs like churches to reach out to people, to help bring them up, to mentor them, to be there for them. These programs exist by the charity of others. And when you realize that someone is helping you, that someone is investing in you, that someone is taking from their life and putting it into your life, and there's no way that you deserve that from them, when someone reaches out to you in that way, it changes you. You become a better person because you know, I didn't deserve that. I'm not entitled to that. I shouldn't get it. But that person is reaching out to me. That person is showing me value. That person, I'm learning humility. That person's showing me value. And now I'm going to become a better person because I know I didn't earn that. I didn't deserve that. I'm not entitled to that. That is something that someone is giving me to help me become better. I am going to change and become a better person because someone is taking their personal time and investing in me. When it's just an entitlement, I just sit there and say, well, then give it to me. It's mine. There's no humility. There's no learning. There's no appreciation because you know that it's supposed to be coming. So that's the first importance of charity is that it brings humility and it brings personal change. The second importance of charity that you are missing completely, that you don't realize it, is how it changes the person to willfully give. To take from their life to say, I have this and I know that this is something that I can spend on me. This is time that I can do for myself. This is money and I am now going to choose to invest it in this person, to reach out to help this person who's fallen down. That changes me. That makes me better. Charity makes better human beings on both sides of it. When it's the government that does it, it's just an entitlement. I don't become a better person because I become resentful. Well, my money's being taken from me anyway, so who am I going to help? I become resentful. The more money that's taken from me, the less I'm going to give it to other people. I'm going to hold on to it because somebody's already taking it. And I become resentful. I don't become a better person. They don't become a better person because it's an entitlement. I'm deserved this. I'm owed this. You bring it to me. Nobody gets better. You don't get better human beings. You can't legislate better human beings, which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to say we should force people to be better. And you can't do that with legislation. You can't throw money at a person and simply make them better because you say you deserve this.
Why does charity require so much humiliation?
Why does charity require humiliation?
Yeah, you talked about how people are not humble enough. That's what humiliation means.
Yeah.
You're going to humble a person.
Humble means that you realize yourself. Humiliation is when you are going to someone else and saying, you this, you that. When you're humble, you realize that yourself.
But
I by being humble, by me saying, wow, I've reached rock bottom, I've made bad decisions, somebody's reaching out to me, they're not humiliating me, they're helping me. I'm discovering my humility myself. They are not humiliating me. I have done this to myself. When I need help, I should be humble enough to say, I need help in this area. I can't do it. Then someone reaches out, and it's not humiliating.
Again, you require, to me, it seems to me that charity comes with a dose of humiliation.
Because everybody
now,
needs to be humble.
I am better than you. I have made better life decisions than you, or I am better connected than you, but here I'm going to give you the scrap from my plate because that somehow makes me and you a better person.
No, that's not what I said. That is not what I said. I said, I may have made better choices, but you are an equal human being, and now I am going to invest in you, not throw you my table scraps. I'm investing in you.
Well, what else is charity?
Investment.
Investing
in a person.
Investment then implies that you expect a return.
Yeah, they're going to be a better person. I am charitably investing in you so that you become a better human being. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting anything out of it, but I can still invest in something even though I don't get anything out of it.
And what are the strings that are attached to a lot of these charitable programs?
Nothing.
Really?
I mean, there are some, but most of the time, here you go.
It's go to church, it's become a Christian, it's do this, it's do that.
No.
It's you can't do this over here. If you get caught up doing that, you're cut off. There are many charitable programs that have a long list of criteria for whether or not you're in or you're out, and a lot of things that you can and cannot do, including, you have to attend church in order to get the benefits or whatever it may be. And to me, that's not charity. You're simply paying people to participate in a program that you've labeled as charitable. And to me, that's humiliation. So if people have a safety net provided to them, then they can go out and take risks. They can go to school and improve their value to society.
How has that worked so far?
I think it works great. We found that education definitely serves society.
Oh, yes, it does. But I'm saying, how has that worked so far with all of the programs that we're throwing money at? All of the social programs we're throwing money at. How has that worked so far? And all these people who are going back into school and going back into college and who are furthering their education, and how is that working in the inner cities? How is throwing money at stuff working?
Well, that's
people going back into
kind of funny you should mention that, because the inner cities don't seem to be getting much of that benefit. They're not getting any of that money. The schools certainly don't get the money because schools are funded through property taxes, and people in the inner city are poor and don't have property. So obviously, these people are not really benefiting from those programs. So again, providing a floor, a safety net for people, allows people to go out and be a little bit more adventurous with their life. And I'm talking about opening businesses. I'm talking about going to school and taking time to get that advanced degree before they actually enter the workforce. So they can enter the workforce with an advanced degree and some skills instead of having to grind their way through some kind of other job that doesn't serve them and only holds them back. They wouldn't have to have so much debt piled on. So without all of the burden of the debt applied to them, with that gone, then they can go out and invest immediately in buying a home.
Which debt?
Or other things.
What debt are you talking about?
Well, there's debt from college loans, because the entire system is simply a scam, and so that system also has to be dismantled.
It's the whole idea of, well, I got all this stuff that I want, but I shouldn't have to pay for it. Yes, I made the choice to do this, knowing that I was going to go in debt, and now suddenly, oh my gosh, I have debt. This needs to be forgiven for me. This is not fair.
No.
I've already got the benefit, but no, this should be forgiven for me.
Well, look. People, what we do is, as a society, we make certain things available to people. So you simply treat college almost the same way that you treat, secondary education. Now, I'd be okay with putting some sort of criteria, entrance exams. You have to qualify. We're not going to just let anybody go to college because they want to go. They're going to have to show some kind of competency. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time and resources. So there are certain decisions that have to be made. Nonetheless, allowing people to go to school for free, then they become productive tax-paying members of society instead of needing welfare benefits for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Now they're paying into the system right out of the gate, which then that allows us to bring up the next generation behind them.
Just keep taxing people and giving the money away.
Well, it's certainly at the top, because right now we are taxed even no matter what. We're taxed on the value of our labor. Our labor is the first tax, and it's paid to our employer, who retains as much as 95% of the surplus value of our labor, which means that, first of all, the biggest tax we should be talking about isn't the taxes that we pay to the federal government. It's the taxes that are retained by our employer and never even given to us, despite the fact we did all of this work.
But again, you're playing with the words. It's not actually a tax. You're trying to use the.
Well, how do you want to define a tax?
A tax is something that is.
It's unpaid wages then.
Okay, fine, but don't call it a tax.
Okay, fine. It's unpaid wages, okay? And then, of course, you apply the government tax, which is much smaller on top of it. Mm-hmm. And it's remarkable that we're still able to do as much as we can with that small contribution. But if the employer didn't take the lion's share of your productivity, if the employer had a more equitable distribution of value with you, meaning basically you at least receive a basic living wage, then we would live in a much better society, and we wouldn't need the government to take the taxes that it does. Mm-hmm. And the government would actually be less powerful because it would have less money. Mm-hmm. And the private sector would be more powerful because there would be more private people with their own money doing the things that they need to do. And there would be less need for charity.
So what's the way to do that without saying you have to pay this much per person?
We have to facilitate. There is a way to do that.
Defining that is imprisoning people on both sides.
You have to unionize all workers. You have to unite the workers. Mm-hmm. And that's always been the rallying cry of the left and of true socialists, which is that the workers must organize and, if possible, seize the means of production for themselves and manage it for themselves. Now, we live in a capitalist society that's never going to allow that, which is why socialists are also in favor of gun rights, because we recognize that the capitalists will never give these things up peaceably. Nonetheless, we can legislate this to a certain degree and get at least halfway there.
You believe in gun rights for the purpose of stealing?
Well, what else?
I believe in gun rights for the purpose of protecting what I already have.
Oh, well, we're certainly protecting.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is,
no, it's not
workers
when you
are having the value of their labor stolen by
capitalists.
capitalists. Capitalists are robbing this country blind. They're the ones who are stealing. And so
anybody who makes money is a capitalist.
Well,
capitalism
is
anybody
a very
who makes
thing.
a profit. It's about profit. Capitalism is a system. It's a system that allows the owner to keep the profits. That's the definition of capitalism. So anybody who keeps a profit for their business, anybody who produces something and keeps a profit, is a capitalist. That's what capitalism is.
So
what
did profits not exist before capitalism?
No, profits did.
Okay.
Kingdoms had you could not keep them. They would tax them. They would whatever. Capitalism is the economy based on the idea that what you produce, you are allowed to keep the profits. You as the person who produces it,
I like
allowed
that.
to keep the profits.
That sounds a lot like socialism. If you, the worker, produce it, you should get to keep it. I love that. Welcome to the revolution, comrade.
You didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't? Well, who did? Certainly not the guy smoking a cigar.
Yeah, it is.
With his feet up on the desk all day.
Yes, that's the person.
That's not the guy who produced anything.
That's the person who created the company that you work for. Okay. Without them, you have nothing.
Pay the man and let him be on his way.
No, that person.
But it's not billions and billions of dollars.
That person gets to keep the profits. That person who invested, had the idea, paid for it with their money, brought it to fruition, created the job so that you could come in and manufacture or do whatever it is. Without that person creating that, you don't have a job. That capitalism allows that person to keep the profits that they created.
Jobs existed long before capitalism was developed. Okay, so capitalism doesn't equal jobs. Capitalism equals a guy who, because he owns something on paper, gets to keep 95% of your productivity for himself. But it's not a tax; it's a profit.
Yes,
but the bottom line is, you're going to work like a dog, and you're not going to get health care. You're not going to get paid vacations. You're not going to get even a living wage
unless you better yourself. When you better yourself, make yourself a better person, and give yourself some skills and grow yourself and sacrifice to grow yourself, like my dad did, who wanted to be able to teach in this area, had to get a certain degree, rode his freaking bicycle for those who aren't in Bakersfield, rode his bicycle from Oswell and Virginia, rode his bike to Cal State every Saturday on the weekends so that he could get that extra degree. He bettered himself. He sacrificed. Be nice
if we had a socially funded mass transit system that was efficient, wouldn't it?
Right, but he was better in health. He was better. He rode his bike, but he bettered himself. He didn't wait for somebody. He didn't sit there and cry and complain. Somebody should get me more money. I deserve more benefits. He made a better. He bettered himself. Got a better job. Got a job that had those benefits. Got a job that had retirement benefits. Got those things. Fought for those things, sacrificed, and got himself to a place that took care of his family.
What about the person who lives 10 miles further away and cannot physically bike in?
Find a way.
Find a way?
Yes.
What if they can't
you are
pay the rent to live
responsible for
closer?
yourself. Find a way. Live in a cheaper place for a while. Find a way.
What if there are no cheaper places? Have you ever heard of a city called San Francisco?
Move out. Be responsible for yourself. That's what it means to be a human being.
What if you're handicapped?
Then somebody takes care of you. You have a reason for someone to take care of you. You are physically handicapped. You are mentally My sister is physically and mentally handicapped. She's 40, I'm going to be bad right here, 46 or 47 years old, and my mom takes care of her. Because she cannot do it for herself.
Does the state provide any kind of assistance?
It started to on those programs that do that. Well, I'm just saying, not all growing up. Not all growing up. No, there wasn't.
It should.
No, it shouldn't.
It's a human being.
It's
Your sister's a human being.
It's my mom and dad's
a
human
decent
being.
Life.
It's my mom and dad's human being.
But as a society, collectively, we should take care of those who cannot take care of themselves, especially when their issue is legitimate.
And
it's
quite
not self-inflicted.
Quite honestly, if it is legitimate, not self-inflicted, I could get behind that. Good. I believe the church should get behind that. I believe that charity should help that and do that. But the limitation of people, if it's not physical, if it's not an actual thing stopping you, if it's not an actual limitation, no, you fight for yourself. You make yourself better. It's your responsibility.
And I'm not opposed to that, Scott. But the thing is, there are a lot of people who are being artificially kept down simply because of the state of our economic system in the United States. There are people who cannot go to college because they simply cannot afford the tuition. Or there are people who cannot go to college.
And yet they're proven wrong every time someone from the same neighborhood does. Someone who said, no, I am not going to sit here and wait for something. No, I am going to make myself better. I am going to do it. They get out of there. They do it. Every time you make that argument, there are people who prove you wrong.
But every person, yeah, you're right. And if that were,
it is possible.
None of these people living in that condition want to remain in that condition. Yet somehow only 1 out of 100 perhaps is able to escape. And that tells me that there's something structural that's keeping people in place. Maybe it is
mindset.
Attitude.
It's
Maybe
an attitude
it is
and
mindset.
a mindset.
But
change your mindset.
Then we need to attack there. That needs to be
That's
the focus of our effort.
That's what churches do. That's what charities do. That's what programs like Reach for Greatness, the mentoring program, that's what we do. That's why we come in there.
You do not, because these problems exist in the status quo. If you did that, these problems would be solved. They would not exist.
We have to do that more. That is the answer that I keep pushing.
You have to do it like 99 times more.
Why don't you join us?
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. Let me know.
Okay.
Let's do it. But
that's what it's about.
I would prefer that we change the system, because I think we will have a lot better luck. The system
doesn't fix people.
By fixing the broken system. Your problem with the system, you have this problem with the system because you hate systems. I'm telling you, it's not the system, it's the breakage in the system. Systems are the answer.
Systems don't fix people.
You have to have a system.
Systems don't fix people.
What is a church other than a system?
It's an organism.
Yeah, it's a system.
It's an organism.
Okay. All right. Then we're going to split hairs. We're
Yeah,
probably
but
going to
what
end
I'm
on
saying
this.
is, yeah,
But it's a system. It's organized.
make yourself better. When you've made yourself better, reach out to others and help them become better. It makes you better. It makes them better. When it's just the government throwing it at everything, nobody gets better. You have resentful people who feel like it's being taken from them, and you have other people who think that it's owed to them and don't learn anything. When you have charity, it makes everybody better. Charity makes both sides better people. And when people are better, society is better. You have to start from the inside and change people. If you keep trying to change society from the outside, it will never get better. That's why charity is so important. It makes those who are receiving better, and it makes those who are giving better. And you have better people making better society.
Well, I think people who are profiting off you need to pay you more. And I think that we may need to change the system in order to facilitate this. I think the people who form the bulk of the middle class are people who grew up in stable homes and had things given to them by their parents. And so we need to do more for the people at the very bottom who may not have stable homes or who may not have things, their parents may not have things to give them. And I think it's okay to have a safety net. And I think once there's a universal safety net, people will branch out and explore and innovate and do more on their own. They'll go to school, they'll increase their value, they'll invent new things, they'll work harder, they'll do all kinds of things. But we have to provide the safety net, which right now is keeping a lot of people stuck in quicksand, economically speaking.
And the more you move that safety net to the private sector of people choosing to be the safety net, the better everyone's going to be. I agree in the safety net.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree in the government providing it. That's the difference. I
Well,
believe it should come from the generosity of people, because then that makes both sides better.
Going to need a bigger net.
All right, then let's do that. Let's make a bigger net. Let's make better people, and let's make a bigger net, and let's get out there and let's be the net to people. That's how it's going to fix things. So we agree. We agree that we need a safety net.
We do agree on that.
Yes. This has been A Valid Answer with Scott and Marshall here on Sundays at 5, Mondays at 4. Tomorrow we're going to have a replay, so we'll pick out which one it's going to be. I can't tell you what that is right now, but, you're going to have to wait and see.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but until next time, I'm Scott.
I'm Marshall.
Have a great day.
Thank you.